Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Rounding the Bases podcast. I'm Coach Tom Coons, along with Coach Chad Porter, coming to you on this beautiful Sunday, July 26th evening. Probably most of you are getting ready to go back to school. I'm sure it's getting close, and we got a lot to cover. We're gonna kind of pick and choose here a little bit. Transfer portal is officially closed unless you're a grad transfer. It's still available there, but if you didn't enter it by June 30, it's over, and there are still tons of people sitting there waiting. So at this point, they have a chance to either go to a team or they go back to their other team. And you know how that works, Coach. If they go back to their other team, there hasn't got to be any money waiting for them there.
Yeah.
But what I thought we'd talk about tonight, because we've been getting a lot of questions and calls and stuff like that, are 5 recruiting tips that are an important thing to do right now to get noticed or to get schools and to show you and things like that. And I just jotted down some numbers here of some things that, from going around the showcases and things that I hear coaches talking about. And actually, the number one thing is showcase your skills both on and off the field. College coaches prioritize athletes that demonstrate performance in games, tournaments, showcases, record high quality videos, game clips, training practices, and so on. But they also highlight leadership, sportsmanship, community involvement, traits that influence other recruiting decisions. Because them being their profession and their job, they want to make sure they got the right person that's not going to A, embarrass the team, B, embarrass them, or C, embarrass the school. Your thoughts?
Spot on. I mean, I think that a couple things, I think parents have to realize that as we get into the late summer and we enter the fall, a lot of institution and I'll just kind of use this and tie this into my answer. There's a lot of institutional camps coming up. We've talked about third party people sending emails, random emails, and going to camps. I think you should have your list of schools. Okay. This will tie into the character piece. Your list of schools. Let's just say I was coming out of high school. I was looking at all D3s and NAIs, which was pretty much what I was looking for. D3s and NAIs, more D3s for me. And I was very fortunate to go to a very good Division III, very good coach, very good program. However, I transferred to a Division II school after my sophomore year. Not because I didn't like it there, but my coach left and friends have a huge bearing on this, by the way. And a lot of college coaches will tell you some of your best recruiters are your players. And I always went to my players and said, who's your best friend that's the best player that you know, to try to get them. Got some really good kids like that. So anyway, back to what we were talking about. So a lot of institutional camps. So for example, almost everybody runs some sort of fall prospect camp. I think these are really beneficial. I think you should go to the ones that are on your list. Get in front of those coaches. Those coaches are going to be able to see your ability firsthand. Most of the small school ones probably aren't going to have 300 kids. They may have 50 kids, which is perfect for you. They may have 75. They may have 100. Who knows? But those are perfect for you. Sometimes in the fall, and we are working at Ahead and Account of developing our own types of showcases. More on that to come. We're start being on the lookout for that, but we'll announce it. But you're able to get in front of these people one-on-one. So when you're throwing a bullpen, let's just say you're a pitcher. I have a player on my high school team that wants to go and pitch. And his top school, he went to a showcase. Or it's more of a prospect day, right? Or a camp. And at that thing, he was able to, or at that showcase or prospect camp, you're literally throwing a bullpen one-on-one with their staff. You can't beat that. And I think for $100 or $150, that's completely worth it. Also at those, they get to see you. They get to see how you interact with other campers. They get to see how you interact maybe with your mom and dad, which is important because if a player's would be disrespectful in front of you to their mom and dad, they'll disrespect you or a player or another
Right.
player on your team or a coach. Okay, be really weary of that. I'm really weary of that as a coach. They see how how are you focused during stuff anyway. So they're able to see that sixth tool, right? And in today's world, coaches have a lot of options now. I mean, there's a lot of players. There's a lot of players who don't have places to go that are good players. But my point is, if you eliminate off of a coach's checklist character, if that's checked off and your academics are checked off, now it's just a matter of whether or not you can play the game.
Right. You're good enough to play.
I mean,
Right.
seriously, and because I've been down this road as a college coach, we wanted to sign a kid, really good player, really good character, lazy in the classroom. But for us, if he can, if trying to fit him into a summer school class or a what we used to call J term in January to get a kid eligible, it's nauseating. Now, is it worth it? If it works out, sure. If it doesn't work out, I mean, you're rolling the dice. But I've spent time doing that when I could have been working on something else in the program. No coach wants to deal with character, but you also have to understand, in today's world, you're going to have varying coaches. You're going to have disciplinarians still, the old school guys. Okay. You're going to have guys that are more, maybe geared towards what the world accepts, I guess, or what baseball accepts. There's going to be varying degrees. Character's going to mean a little bit different to maybe every coach, to be honest with you. And that could be cell phones, that could be nightlife, social, whatever. Okay. But it's going to be a little bit different for every single coach. Okay.
You're going to
So
fit into a different situation on their recruiting profile. If you're a
yeah,
great player, they may give you a little bit of leeway here. If you're a marginal player that they think they can make into a good player, that's the ones that are tough. I mean, I went to a tournament last weekend, sat next to a Division I coach, mid-major, good school. Kid hits a home run, rounding the bases, got to home plate, talked crap to the catcher to the point where the umpire had to separate them. The coaches come running out. And the coach I was sitting next to said, "We were looking, but we are not now."
yeah,
And it was
yeah.
just it wasn't their top kid, but it was a kid they thought that could make their roster.
It,
And you need those kids. And it just got, and maybe that's the first time that's happened, but it was the wrong time that it happened.
and you never. So there's a couple things. There's a lot of things in the game today that are becoming acceptable to a lot of coaches. And this is why I say that you may run into two different coaches. One coach allows certain things, one doesn't. The bat flip stuff. You probably see more than ever the jawing into another dugout. I mean, I don't think there's any room for that in a game. I think you hit the baseball, you get out of the box as hard as you can, like you're legging out a double. When it goes over the fence, you can choke down to 75%. You get your butt around the bases, you get to your teammates, you shut your mouth and let the glove and the bat do the talking. You
That
can
is
be
correct.
excited. You can be excited about that, but you don't have to. I'm 47 years old. If guys were doing that when I played in college, you were getting your tower buzzed the next pitch. I'm serious. I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
like
oh yeah.
and I think some guys, will still do that today. Some of the stuff going on in the dugouts. Am I completely against it? No. Do I think there's a time and a place for it? Absolutely. And as long as it's not directed at the other team, that's the problem I have. I am very much a shut your mouth, let the glove and the bat do the talking type of coach, kind of old school dirtbag, greasy guys. Is what I would be looking for if I still coached in college. And I know a lot of coaches that are still looking for that.
The blue collar
Um,
player. Yeah.
Blue collar player. If you can get a talented guy, like if you can, my opinion, for whatever it's worth, 17 years as Division II coach, 20 years in college baseball altogether, plus 4 years as a player. I've still been in college baseball a lot. I've only been in as a high school coach, 4 years or whatever. Um, but if you get a talent, listen to me right now, not you, Coach Coons, but viewers. If a coach gets a talent with B attitudes, problem. You won't win. If you
Right.
get B talent with A attitudes, you got a shot. And I
Yep.
think that's what kids have to realize in today's world. So, today's recruiting world in college baseball and travel baseball and all that stuff is so crazy to navigate. It is a headache for college coaches. I think moms and dads listening, I think you need to realize the transfer portal is an NIL is a huge reason why college coaches at all levels are leaving college baseball and college football and college basketball. Why? You're constantly waiting and worried you're going to lose a kid, even if you don't have NIL. Imagine you're at a really, really good D3. I have a really good friend, um, you know, who's one of the best Division III coaches in the and coached for 24 years at arguably the winningest program in Division III history. So do the math where I'm at, and you can, I'm in, across the river from Marietta, Ohio, a wonderful, like, the best. And I can tell you this much: you're talking about really good players this year. Their top arm signed with West Virginia. Okay, they've had a kid go to Rice in the last X amount of years and do really good. They have a kid that was in their program on the verge of making the big leagues right now. Literally, he's in AAA. Turner Hill, and he is, by the way, Turner Hill is not only a great player. You will not find a higher character individual and worker than him. He is an outstanding, him and his entire family. So we talk about the character piece,
Oh
but
yeah.
but as a coach, you're at that level and you're losing kids to the portal. You're at the D2 level. Maybe you're not giving out a ton of NIL money. You're losing kids. And then you're in this money war as a guy that is giving NIL money at the Division I level. And you're navigating all this travel ball stuff when you're recruiting, because all these kids bebop out, and this kid and this kid and this tournament. It is obnoxious. But you're losing college coaches because these kids have so many choices and they grow up. And Coach Cart and I talk about this all the time, and Coach Coons. They grow up switching travel teams yearly. Then they get to college and they don't perform and they switch colleges.
Yep.
Or they do perform and they go to a higher level, or it's just not the right fit, which happens, right?
Well,
That's why you got to find the right fit.
we've talked about this. There are staffs out there that are sending grad assists or whatever assistant coaches to the Cape League or to the Perfect Game leagues to keep an eye on their own players because they're just getting picked. What are you earning at Georgia Tech? this, but we can give you this. Guess what?
And done. And they're going to recruit college summer leagues.
Right. That's what I'm
So,
saying. Yeah.
so I talked to a D2 coach Friday. Okay. D2 coach went on and on and on about the portal and how it's going to benefit Division II, whatever. Here's another tie-in here. In today's world of recruiting, I would stand firm on a couple of different things. Number one, email is not effective. We've said that 100 times. Listen, that doesn't mean you don't send the email. Send it. You
Correct.
might get lucky. Send it because it's free and you might get lucky, but it's not an effective thing. Well, what are you doing? I've been emailing. Look. I have my old email account because the school I coached at closed. I can still get on my computer and log on, even though it's not online. And there are thousands of unopened emails from recruits on there.
Yep.
Thousands. Okay. So listen, it's not effective. I think DMs, text messages, just call the office. That leads me to another thing. In today's world, you need someone to help you navigate. You need people who have literally, and I want to reiterate this. When you choose to come aboard with us and we choose to work together, you're working. Coach Coons and I have spent, and I told a recruit this today, a recruit's father who's thinking about work. Coach Coons and I have spent years of our lives. If you went through every day we've recruited as college baseball coaches,
Ugh.
50 plus years, you're talking years on the road, evaluating kids and going, hey, listen. So my point is this, help me, help you, right? Help us. Listen, we've been there. Listen, a lot of these places you've gone to, I've went somewhere, jumped the fence, watched a kid pitch, jumped the fence, went somewhere else, got in the car and went to another game 100 miles down the road after a kid threw a bullpen at his high school. I mean, you want people that work hard, that have been in the, kind of been in the suck, so to speak,
That's
in
right.
this. So
That's right. Yeah, well,
long-winded answer.
that takes me, I said we had 5 things. You mentioned maintain academic excellence. If you can get that out of the way, that's cake. That opens up everything else. Reach out to coaches proactively. That was my number 3 thing. Proactively. Send an email, but also try to get a voice contact. Try to get a DM. Try to get something where you're actually communicating with that person. Build a strong recruiting profile. That's what we do. We build profiles that get you noticed. Plus, we also have the coaches' phone numbers that we can make contact and put them in touch with you. But I think if you can create a professional recruiting profile, and keep it updated. I mean, I was just going through Twitter today, and I'm seeing the same things just reposted. There's some good stuff on there. Softball girls, ladies, a lot of them on there are doing a great job. I mean, they're on their X accounts. Baseball guys, yeah, I know if you're in the portal, you're trying, but keep your stuff updated. You pitch, okay, I'm in the low 90s. Well, I look at that. When was that done? You check it today. Maybe you're 92, 93. Guess what? 90 to 93 is a big difference, because now that might open up something for a coach to at least look at you or get you on campus or look at some film. Things like that. It changes the whole, what do I want to say, changes the atmosphere that coach looks at you. Your social media, that's got to be top notch. Get it going. We're a company. We're not spending on our website, head and account recruiting. We're not spending tens of thousands of dollars, because we're not charging thousands of dollars. We're here to help those athletes. So, there's a lot of recruiting places out there that got the bling websites and this and that. And yeah, it's attractive. It looks pretty. But do you want the fanciness or do you want the output, the work effort? And I think that's a big thing too. Just like a coach, do they want to see you be the fancy person out there, or do they want to see you get the job done? And that's a huge thing. But I think in all those things, your showcases, your talent, recruiting profile, reach out proactively to coaches, social media, academics. The big thing is, and how we have helped and can help people, is come up with a recruiting plan. I've been contacted by 2030 recruits in 2031 graduating class. Yeah, it's a little early for colleges to talk to you, but if you get the plan going right now and get it in place, guess what? When it's time, you are hitting the ground running. And that's a thing. Check out the event calendars, like you said. Find out the showcases, line them up ahead of time. Because the more you can stay updated, the more you'll stay visible. Or you work with us, a company like ours, we keep you visible. And that's a positive. Your players that are coming to you and you're getting phone calls. If they sign up with us, they're out there. They're on Twitter. They're on this. We're on that. We're on this. You're getting talked to coaches about you, the whole thing. We had a player 2 years ago. We were just talking about him tonight. Interested in this school, this school, this school. Got him 2 visits to other schools, called all 5 schools. He got into the school that really wanted him, that we talked to. He's tearing it up. He's having a great, great career there. A kid I worked with 4 years ago, went out to Oklahoma, went to college, MVP of the league last year. So, we're finding those opportunities for you. And yeah, you may have Division I aspirations, and there's nothing wrong with that. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. And some of you can play Division I in looking at your stuff on Twitter and things like that. But I've also had some people that have filled out a questionnaire, contact them back to get a video, to get them a free evaluation. Leave a message, no response, no film, no nothing. It's like, if you're doing that here, what are you doing to coaches that want to recruit you? Those types of things. If I was still a coach getting that, and I couldn't get through to a player, or it took a week for them to get back to me, I'd have to think about that. So what do you?
Yeah, absolutely. How you react, how you communicate is typically one of the first things that a coach is going to see about you, and red and green flags pop up based on that. So
Yeah. So give us a call, or give us we got a ton of ways you can contact us. You can DM us on Twitter or X. I'll probably always call it Twitter for the next 20 years. There's a questionnaire on our website. You can also click on our website. Parents can click there. Students, athletes can click there, and we'll get back to you and find out. But you are entitled to a free evaluation. And believe me, I've done free evaluations, and I've had people got the evaluation, thank me, but didn't work with us because they thought they could do it. I wish I could give you their names, because you could ask them how many times we hounded them to get them to sign up with us. 0. We don't do that. It's we want to see you succeed, and that's the big thing. Like I said before, I've been through it. My son, back in the day when he was there, we signed up with a recruiting company. It was in the thousands of dollars. He got to create a free website and do all the work himself. and they contacted him in 1 year. They contacted him twice. That was it. So we ended up doing most of the work ourselves. He got into a great school, played professional baseball. Now he's Division I college coach. So his career went, but it's not because of what he thought it was going to be. So if you have any
Good stuff.
questions, yeah, reach out to us. We'll see you next week. Hopefully Coach Cart will be back. Coach Cart is also a travel coach, and he's up in Canada right now and enjoying life, learning French. I think we'll find out if he can speak it next week when we're back on. But until then, have a great week, and we will see you next Sunday. Thanks for tuning in.